So these are the few of the ego traps that actually sabotage our spiritual growth. So the first trap is of spiritual bypassing. So sometimes, friends, when we are on a spiritual journey, we think that we are growing and we are evolving. But even as a spiritual person, we imbibe so many of our egos, so many of different emotions or different traps. The first spiritual trap is of numbing our emotions. Like we feel, oh, it's negative to feel pain. Why should I feel pain? And that's how you become cold. You become insensitive to situations, insensitive to things around you. It's non spiritual to feel negative. And sometimes, in the obsession of not feeling negative, we also stop feeling positive. We become completely numb. We become very cold hearted. We stop enjoying things because we are emotionally dead now. So, that's why, friends, it is very important to experience emotions. Even if it is a pain, it's okay to feel pain. What is more important to transcend those negative emotions. Through meditation, through our spiritual practices, rather than suppressing, we should transcend these negative emotions. Sometimes the suppression itself could lead to depression. So we need to express ourselves. Only when we are fully expressive, then we can be fully alive. So that is a very important factor, that we don't have to numb our emotions. Second spiritual bypassing is our obsession to positive thinking and wearing nice masks. So a lot of times, as a social conditioning, as a society, we've been taught to always show a happy face, always show that you are happy, always wear a facade on your face. So even though you are feeling negative, even though you are thinking negative inside, your whole own self-talk is of negative, but outside you are supposed to express only good words. You are only supposed to say nice words. And that's how, again, you are numbing your emotions. Again, you are disconnected from the source. You have created a separation with your own self. So again, that is a part of spiritual bypassing. To be really spiritual, you have to be completely expressive. You have to be very genuine. If you are feeling negative, express negative. You don't have to wear a mask. If you are feeling angry, you can express your anger. And the best way is to transcend your anger. So there's nothing to pretend. There's no pretension there. And then express your need. What is the emotion? What is the need which is unmet? What is it that you want from that person? So express it rather than carrying the guilt, shame, anger, hurt, anxiety within you. You just express. And once you express the need, you will also feel much lighter. And then you will not carry that burden all through your life. So it's okay. So being spiritual does not mean that you don't have your own needs. We all, as a human being, we are all born in this three-dimensional reality. We all have our own needs. We all need to experience life to the fullest. So express yourself completely and express your needs. Third spiritual bypassing is, friends, of weak personal boundaries. Sometimes when you're spirituality, we are not able to keep our boundaries. Somebody wants healing, we say, okay, yes. We don't know when to say no. And sometimes we avoid our family life. We are doing spirituality at the cost of our own personal life, our own family life, of our own spiritual growth sometimes. And we get obsessed by trying to help people or heal people. So we need to say no. We need to learn no. Whenever it's time for you to give to yourself, we should learn to say no. Especially when you're spirituality, a lot of people are seeking your advice, your guidance. And of course, it is great to give that, but sometimes it is important to keep your boundaries. People need your phone number, your personal number. They will call you directly, they'll mail you directly. So it's okay to keep your own boundaries and say no wherever you need, that you need time for your own growth to balance your life. Solitude is a pleasure of being alone. Loneliness is a pain of being alone. So sometimes we need your own solitude. It's okay. So be expressive that, sorry, this is my time where I need to give my time, where maybe I need to spend my time in silence. Silence is the speech of the spiritual seeker. So be expressive. When you're into spirituality, people may be very demanding and people may need all your time, attention. A lot of people may call you, oh, please heal this person, heal that person. And to just show that you're spiritual, you may be trying to do that, or you may draw ego satisfaction, oh, I healed that person. But in that whole obsession of healing, you may be losing your own connection to your own self. You're not giving enough time to yourself. Fourth type of spiritual bypassing is of excessive tolerance or compassion, or being blinded by to help somebody. So, a lot of times we we don't again maintain the right balance. Buddha said the right path is the middle path. Sometimes we trying to help others, trying to give others money does not mean that you become poor. You have the tolerance, you have the compassion, but again keep the right balance. It should be coming as a natural self, not be a mental exercise. It should be coming from the heart, rather than I'm spiritual, so I need to show compassion, I need to express compassion, or I need to show tolerance, where inside I am feeling resentment, inside I am feeling a lot of anger or hurt or pain, because then you're not really helping you others. As Richard Bach said, the only obligation for you in this lifetime is to be true to yourself. The first, you have to be very true to yourself. Then friends, the fifth type of spiritual bypassing is trying to kill ego forcefully. So even though you have ego, but take your own time. Be very natural, be very easy, be aware of your ego, and of course know when you're coming from the ego and when you're not coming from the ego. But don't think that ego is bad or evil. It's not. There's no crime in ego. We needed ego to survive. We needed ego to grow. But what is more important is not to be attached with that ego, not to identify with that ego. So don't forcefully try to kill ego, or don't try to keep a facade that I have no ego. So sometimes the very spirituality, you draw so much of ego because you think now you are superior and the others are inferior. So it's all fine. So be very authentic, be very natural. So the another type of spiritual bypassing is exaggerated detachment. So friends, sometimes we show excessive detachment to people, places, things, situations around us. And that is also wrong. We need to maintain a middle path. Sometimes we even abandon a relationship. It could be a wife, it could be a children, and we feel that, being detached is the right thing to do. But no, we are here to love everyone. We are here to love unconditionally. Your detachment could be an internal state, but you have to follow the middle path. Abandonment is pessimism in action. So you don't have to look pessimistic. You don't have to be so pessimistic about life. You have to embrace life fully. We are all here to enjoy life, to celebrate all the richness of life. And as long as you maintain a middle path, that is the truth. So don't go into the exaggerated detachment. And the next type of spiritual bypassing is getting stuck in theoretical spirituality. Sometimes people get spiritual and think that they are spiritual, but it is only in the mind. They're not feeling it. They're not really changing from the heart. So they may be reading hundreds of books. They may be attending hundreds of workshops, but the transformation is not happening. So spirituality has not taken place unless your life really transforms, unless the true transformation happens. So we have to understand that the spirituality did not be mental, where you just have to demonstrate that, I have read so many scriptures, and I have read the whole Bible, or I have read the whole Bhagavad Gita. But have you imbibed that knowledge? Have you put it in your practice? So sometimes the very knowledge that you have gained becomes a medium for you to boost your knowledge. At the same time, you are not transforming yourself emotionally. Your very knowledge becomes a kind of a trap. So the next one is denial of self-responsibility by placing it on another higher being, or some spirit guides or angels. So a lot of times, if you think you are spiritual, you are meditated, so then you don't need to take any worldly responsibilities. You can just bypass all the worldly responsibilities because you are spiritual. And then anything in life, rather than working hard or taking right steps or taking right actions, you feel that, I am a spiritual person, so God will take care of me, the spirit guide will take care of me, or these angels will take care of me. But by doing that, actually you are avoiding your true responsibility. Being spiritual means being more responsible, being more aware, being more conscious in all your actions, thoughts, words, deeds. So you think that if you've gone to a temple, or if you have prayed to God, and if you have worshipped God, then God will do it for you. So it doesn't happen that way, friends. If your feelings are equal to prayer, if you're really feeling it, then you'll magnetize it, then you'll draw that event into your life. Then all the corporate components of the universe will work to actually manifest for you. So if you have summoned God for abundance, and you have prayed God for abundance, but inside if you're feeling lack, then your praise won't work. Then you'll draw more of the lack. So when you pray to God, it has to come from the sense of abundance, sense of gratitude, fulfillment, satisfaction, and appreciation, and then you draw things into your life. So Just you think that if you prayed, does not mean. Self responsibility means actually feeling it, truly feeling it in your heart. So it's also about actions and also about being. And that's why we are called human beings, human and being. So the another spiritual bypassing is a delusion of having arrived at some higher level of being. You think you're a spiritual being, or you're now that you have learned so much of knowledge or read so many books or done so much of meditation, so now you are superior to others. Now you have arrived at some other place, and that itself becomes a point of stuck where you get stuck, because your half knowledge is dangerous. Sometimes you feel that no, you have the knowledge, and knowledge of course brings power, and that power traps you into that ego, because now you start feeling that, oh, I know it all. But actually, the more you know, the more you realize that how much you don't know. That is just a beginning. We're all work in progress all the time. So you have to understand that more spiritual you are, the more humble you should be. The taller you are, the lower your head is. So spirituality does not mean that you feel yourself so accomplished and now you see others as inferior to you, and now you're some superior being and you're at a high level of being, and in your own mind, even if you're not comparing with others, in your own mind you feel that you have arrived now. But we have to be humble. We have to understand that we all work in progress, and there's always learning is always a continuous process. So the second trap is the trap of superiority. So friend, this is a very subtle trap, and this can sneak from a back door. You don't even realize that you have that. So it could be when you're in a path of your spiritual journey, when you are growing and evolving, sometimes the judgments creep in. You start judging others. Those who you think are not spiritually evolved or not grown enough, you judge them. You think that you are at a pedestal there and they are at that level. They are stupid. They don't understand things. They are idiot. In your mind, you may not even you may not even verbally say them, but in your mind you feel that. And that's how you draw a lot of judgment towards other people in the world around you. And it could be judgment about anything. Somebody, if you think that you don't need an expensive vehicle or expensive house, then somebody is living in an expensive car or using expensive vehicle, then you will judge them. Because you feel you are detached and it's wrong to have an expensive car or expensive house. Or somebody is watching a TV show, maybe a soap opera, and you watch only spiritual shows, then you're judging them. They're stupid, they're idiot, how can they watch that? Or somebody is into gossip, you're judging them. And if you are into meditation or yoga and somebody is not, then you're judging them. If you are into vegetarianism or vegan and somebody is into non-veg, then you judge them. If you are reading spiritual books and somebody is reading fiction books, then again you are judging them. So this could be your very spirituality becomes a trap for judgment. And with the judgment, we actually carry an emotional charge to that situation. And the more you judge others, with the very act of that emotional charge which is active in you, you will draw more of the situations into your life, more of the people, places, things, time and event and situations which will reflect that into your life. So friends, this is a very, very subtle trap and we need to be aware of that. And that's why Ramdas said, if you think you're enlightened, spend 1 week with your family. Because when you're with your family, your truth comes out. Because how can you pretend with your family? You have to live in and day out with them. And then all your projections, judgments, separations, rejections, everything is out in the open. How you treat your children, how you treat your spouse, how you treat your parents, how you treat your servants in the house reflects your true spirituality. How you treat your drivers, how you treat your janitor, everything reflects your true spirituality. So friends, it is very important when you are spiritual to treat everyone as equal. Everyone is in their own journey. So everybody is coming from their own soul's evolution. Somebody, if you think you're an old soul, somebody might be a young soul. So which is fine for the young soul to be in their own journey. So we don't need to judge anybody. Doesn't matter whoever it is. All situations are fundamentally neutral. It is through our judgment of good and bad we actually place our attention, and through our attention, through our intention, we actually buy that experience into your life. So your energy is the currency of the universe. With your intention, we actually buy that experience in your life. So be careful of what you judge in the moment. So that's why this is such an important, very subtle trap, but a very important trap, because very subtly it creeps in and you don't even realize it. So the third trap is forcefully trying to wake up others. Friends, when you are in your spiritual journey, when you are on a spiritual path, so you have a deep urge to actually also enlighten others or give your knowledge to others and how you can uplift others. But then you have to understand that you cannot do it forcefully. You cannot push somebody without respecting their boundaries. Maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe they still need some time. Maybe they are young soul. Maybe they are baby soul. This is not their path at this moment. So your spirituality should be very personal, and also when you are trying to spread to others, don't force upon somebody. Don't, in any normal conversation, don't bring your spirituality into it and give your spiritual fundas around it. Because then people will feel really repulsive. Rather than trying to transform, they will feel very repulsive. And actually spirituality is contagious. When you are transforming, even without your talking much, you will spread your spirituality within your family, within your friends, because it is contagious. And when you are changing, when you are vibrationally changing, it is bound to change others around you. So let it happen. Let it take its own gradual time. Let it take its own natural time. And don't forcefully try to spiritualize people or push them to read this book. Read what you have to do meditation. No. So please respect everybody's freedom of choice. The fourth trap is of wanting to help others. Sometimes, friends, we are very obsessed with wanting to help others, and then we are trying to give unsolicited advice. Sometimes we try to give your own fundas even if it is not required. When people are going through deep emotional moment or deep issues, all they need is to be heard. All they need is probably a practical advice, not spiritual advice all the time. So a lot of times the spiritual advice puts them into a state of resentment. So be very careful of when you need to help others, how you need to help others. Sometimes they need your physical help and not just spiritual help. Be very sensitive, always follow the middle path. So at that moment, spirituality may not be the solution. So when the people are going through those challenges time or those specific time, in that fit of that anger or frustration or that sadness, spirituality may not be the right solution. So you need to understand that, and don't try to push your spiritual fundas or impose it around them. People only understand things which is equal to their emotional state. So wait it, let the time go by. You may express yourself or you may share your understanding when they're in a more receptive mode. Be mindful of when you are expressing your spirituality to others. Though your intention is to help others, but maybe the person is not ready for it right now. So be interested rather than interesting. So the next step is of wanting to revolutionize the world. So friends, when you are in the spiritual path, you should take up a mission. I want to spread my knowledge or my meditation or this book to 10 million people. And then that obsession is also incorrect. Sometimes we get so obsessed because at that time, again, that's a form of another ego. Because then you want to boost, I'm a New York Times bestseller. Oh, my meditation has become so popular, and how many likes I am getting on my videos, how many likes I am getting on my Facebook page. So the very obsession of trying to revolutionize the world becomes a trap. So we need to be aware. So there's a quote by Rumi. There's a very beautiful quote by Rumi. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. So today I am wise, so I want to change myself first. So friends, always focus on yourself first. Don't try to revolutionize at the cost of yourself. Mahatma Gandhi said, "My life is my message." Be the change you want to see in the world. So if you really want to change, first be that change, and be the change in your own eyes. So otherwise, the trap of revolutionizing the world itself can become a trap, because it's a big goal you have taken. It's a big goal you have taken. But then in that goal, are you living your truth? Are you achieving your personal goals? So be aware of that. So the next trap is a trap of meaninglessness. So here, friends, because you think you're spiritual, what you try to look at the world in a very pessimistic approach. You feel very pessimistic about the world. You feel the world is not a safe place to live in. The world is not a great place to live in. And you feel very detached from any of your external surroundings, your external environment, from the people, places, things, time, situations around you. You feel all very meaningless. And friends, that is again Wrong. That is again a trap, because we came into this three-dimensional world of density to actually experience the life in its fullest form, to actually enjoy life, to embrace life to its fullest, to enjoy a good house, a good car, a good relationship, to love yourself, to love others. The problem is not with the situations or the things or the people around you or the objects around you. The problem starts when we are identifying with that as if it's yours forever. So, so at the same time, you don't have to feel meaninglessness about it. They're here for a reason. You're drawing those situations, those people, the things into your life for a purpose, for a reason. The spirituality does not mean you become very disillusioned and you feel very, you go into a state of depression, and because that kind of disconnect could actually lead you to depression. So be very aware of this trap, the trap of meaninglessness. So now the next trap, friends, is of trap of avoiding everyday responsibilities. So a lot of times when you become spiritual, you feel now you don't have to take responsibility for any mundane things. And but it's not true. If you're a cook, you have to remain a cook. You have to continue cooking. If you're a housewife, be a housewife. If you're a businessman, continue business. If you're a teacher, be a teacher. So spirituality has nothing to do by not doing what you're already doing. There's a Zen saying which says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So nothing changes. Nothing really changes. And by, you think if you have become spiritual and by avoiding mundane responsibilities, that is not the true science of spirituality. Most of the spiritual masters are very simple people doing mundane things. You take the example of Zen masters. They were regular life. And a lot of time you embrace spirituality because of escapism. Because sometimes because you don't want to take mundane responsibilities, so you take sannyas. You go to some spiritual center and start living there, because so that you can avoid day-to-day spiritual responsibilities. And that itself is a trap. Because your spirituality is not coming from your true urge. The real challenges of life, the real circumstances which pushes your emotional buttons, all the contrast situations, your limitations, sometimes the life's challenges, the contrasting situations, your relationships which pushes your emotional buttons, itself is a true test of your spirituality. Only then, only when you are dealing with day-to-day things, and then still can maintain that high elevated state, high emotional state, then you are spiritual. Living everything, and then if you are trying to maintain that higher state or maintain that you don't, that's not the true test. That's not the right way. The right spirituality comes from being in the midst of day-to-day challenges, day-to-day situations, day-to-day responsibilities. So the next trap is a trap of self-victimization. Friends, when we are spiritual, we feel that the world has become a bad place. We feel the world is not the right place for me to live in. I'm stuck in this world. I'm stuck in this three-dimensional reality. And we start self-pitying ourselves. We pity ourselves, we self-victimize ourselves, and we go into the victim mode, victim consciousness. And that is again, and that creates more misery in our life. But again, that is not true. That is not correct. Everybody is again at their own pace of journey, own pace of life. We don't need to judge anything, and the world is a perfect the way it is. If you're truly spiritual, you will come from a place of empowerment and not self-pity or victim consciousness. You don't have to live in a poor me attitude. So when the next trap is the trap of superiority complex. What happens is when you are spiritual and you develop so much of superiority complex. Suppose you have become a leader of some spiritual sect or some religious sect. Now you want people to bow down to you. You want to see everybody as your disciples. But the true spirituality, you see everybody as equals. It's a teacher and a student relationship, not a master and a disciple relationship. We are all masters. We are all equals. We are all gods. We are all sleeping Buddhas. You may have awakened earlier. Somebody will awaken a little later. But at certain level, we are all equals. So just because you're spiritual does not mean you're something very special. You don't have to feel very special about yourself. You don't have to look yourself from a pedestal. You think that you left the world and became spiritual, but now you're creating another ego empire, another vibration empire of ego. This is a very, very strong trap and very predominant in big spiritual leaders. What happens is, or when you are into spirituality, you draw so much of power, because so much of knowledge, with so much of spiritual wisdom comes a lot of power. And that power overtakes you. So that's why you develop a strong sense of superiority complex. Now the next trap is the trap of attachment. So friends, sometimes when you're on a spiritual path, you actually experience a lot of mystical experiences. You experience a lot of psychic experiences, and you'll go through maybe you encounter a spirit or a guide, or you start channeling somebody, or maybe you got some kind of powers, or maybe you gain some kind of powers. Now what happens is, the very fact, or the very those powers, or those experiences become the trap, because now you try to boost to others. Oh, I got this spiritual experience, so I am superior. See, I felt that. See, I am psychic. I had this vision. I could see this. I could feel this. And you started boosting that, and that becomes a spiritual tap. Or that very experience, now you want to again go back to the same experience. Every time you meditate, you want to experience the same thing. Now you got attached to that experience, and then again it is a type of attachment. So friends, Wayne Dyer said, a mind which is open to all and attached to nothing. So be open to the experience, be childlike. Every meditation should be a new experience. Be open to the unknown. Let us see whatever the universe has to show it to you at that time. Whatever is right for you will come to you. So trust it. You don't have to demonstrate your spiritual powers to others. Be humble. Your spiritual powers are for your own growth, and not to demonstrate to others, not to boost to the others. So the next trap and the last trap is the trap of relying on external answers. Friends, when we are on a spiritual journey, on a spiritual path, sometimes we want to do one workshop. Okay, now you want to do advanced workshop. Now you want to do another spiritual master's workshop. And you keep on doing one workshop to another workshop, and you get obsessed by trying to find your answers externally. That search for truth becomes very external exercise, rather than it should be a very internal exercise. You need to connect to your own source, because your source is your best resource. So the truth, the real wisdom is within us. So while these workshops, these external books, your spiritual gurus, your teachers can act as a catalyst for your growth, but all the answers lies within us. All the wisdom lies within us. So we need to understand that and not fall into the trap. If you have attended one workshop or you read a book, so first take time to actually imbibe that knowledge, to really feel it and be it and practice it in your day-to-day life. Make it transform your consciousness. Make it a state of your being. And once you make it a state of being, and now if you're ready for the next upgrade or a new knowledge, then go for a new knowledge. Go for a new experience. Go for a new workshop. Otherwise, we keep doing, but we forget in the obsession of doing, we forget that we are being. Don't become obsessed by, I did first degree of Reiki, second degree of Reiki, I've become a Reiki grandmaster. All that doesn't matter what you are. Doesn't matter whatever your titles of your courses are. What is more important is what you are learning, and then what you are imbibing and really practicing it on day-to-day life.